And if the parents don't trust the coach, that is why they yell and they scream over the course of the game. The coach has to be the one that sets the standard, bring all the parents in before the season and say, okay, this is what I expect from you, A, B, and C. This is what you're going to get in return from me, which is A, B, and C. And this is what I expect out of your son or daughter too, which is A, B, and C. That's the biggest thing that I see is the parents are searching for answers, but the coaches are the ones that it goes back to is like, they need to put their egos to the side and actually learn from people that are there trying to help them, because all of a sudden, if they give those kids a good experience, you're not going to have any issues with the parents.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Clearing the Bases, the podcast where we step up to the plate and dive deep into the world of youth baseball. I'm your host, Jimmy Filangieri. You know, on this show, we discuss all things related to the preparation and development of youth baseball players, coaches, and yes, even parents. So sit back, settle in, and get ready to hear from some of the greatest baseball minds out there.
Practice is from 6 to 7:30 on a Tuesday night. They know most of my team, they're there at 5:30. They're there at 5:30 and they're ready to go, because as soon as 6 o'clock starts, we're going to get after it. And as soon as they take the field, they know exactly where to line up their gloves. They know they're doing 2 laps around the field, followed by a little active warm-up, followed by our agility work, followed by our hand-eye drills that we do, and then we get right into our throwing program. Like, I just have everything just boom, 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 quick, because they know exactly how it is. So now all of a sudden, when we go to a weekend and we're at a tournament in the state of New Jersey, they know if the game is at 1 o'clock, we are showing up at 12. And when we show up at 12, we know what we're going to be doing.
You know, to be able to reach the highest levels of this game, yeah, you got to work hard. You got to get in the cages. You got to do your strength and conditioning. You know, you got to throw your bullpens. There's all of this physical stuff that you need to do, and you need to work hard at it. But don't forget that you also have to get better at the mental side of the game. And one of the ways you can do that is increase baseball IQ by downloading and using the 6-Tool app.
For baseball coaches like you, every game brings measurable progress. However, game time isn't the time for trial and error learning. Instead, have a proactive approach. Use 6-Tool, the best baseball player development tool on the market. We provide a platform to level up your coaching strategy by helping you to quickly identify and address your players' knowledge of the game. By using our easy-to-implement interactive player quizzes, you can assess position-specific issues, overall baseball IQ, and much more. Win more games and develop better overall baseball players with effective off-the-field training. Visit us at 6-tool.com. 6-Tool. Get ahead in the game.
All righty, everybody. Today on Clearing the Bases, we're joined by a player who knows what it takes to hustle his way up the ladder and then pay it forward. And that's the important part, the pay it forward part. Former major leaguer and college standout Zach Lutz is our guest today. So I first became aware of Zach by reading one of his many impactful posts on LinkedIn, and I'm pretty sure a few other social media sites. And let me tell you a little bit about Zach. He's from Reading, Pennsylvania, where he attended Governor Mifflin High School. He played college baseball at Alvernia University, where he was a 2-time Pennsylvania Athletic Conference Player of the Year. That was before Alvernia moved to the Middle Athletic Conference, and held a career batting average around .450, finishing top 5 in several offensive categories at the Division III level, which is amazing. He was selected in the 2007 MLB draft by the New York Mets in the 5th round and made his major league debut on April 24, 2012 with the Mets. After his time in Major League Baseball, he played internationally and then transitioned into coaching and player development. Currently, Zach works as a baseball instructor and Director of Player Development at the All Star Sports Academy in Westchester, Pennsylvania, helping athletes and coaches with routines, confidence, and navigating setbacks. I'm really excited to dive into this journey, the lessons he's learned, and more importantly, how he's helping the next generation of players and coaches win off the field as well as on it. Welcome to the show, Zach.
Jimmy, thanks a lot. I appreciate it. It's an honor to be here.
I got to tell you, this is a thrill for me. All of the stuff that I've read that you've posted on LinkedIn, and I'm pretty sure a few other social media sites, my jaw dropped when I read everything that you were writing. I said, here's a former major league player that is fighting for the same things that I've been fighting for. So let's get started here with, you know what? Before we get into everything, take us through your journey. Take us through. Let's start back at your little league because, again, that's what we want to kind of like talk about is the youth stuff. But bring us from your little league all the way up through your pro career.
Yeah, so with me growing up, I grew up in Moulton. So Moulton, Pennsylvania is just a little town right outside of Reading, Pennsylvania. There's not a ton of people that are there. But the thing that was great is we had, it's called MABA and Mifflin Area Youth Baseball Association. So that was the little league that I grew up in. And we were just blessed to have a lot of great coaches within that association that gave us all the tools that we needed, all the development pieces and everything. My dad helped out as much as he could too. We had, former players that were always there to help out with practices or whatever have you. But I mean, yeah, it's just coming up. I was always blessed to be surrounded by good coaches, and I feel like that's the biggest thing today. Is there are good coaches, but you really got to search and you really got to do your due diligence in order to find them.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, again, like I said, a lot of things that you talk about, I agree with completely. And, like you had said, at the little league level, like what you were just talking about, that is non-existent where there's guys going to help out.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing is like there's so many little leagues even today where for myself, like I just want to help out. There's a lot of guys that just want to go and help out, but then it's like then you kind of get pushback from them of like, oh, well, you're going to come in here because you work for a travel organization that you're going to come in here and steal all of our players. It's like, no, that's not what this is. Like you got to put your ego to the side because all I'm trying to do is just help out. That's it. Because all I care about is the kids and their development because there's a lot of nonsense out there on social media right now that people are buying and getting into where it's just setting the kids up for failure. So now with my platform that I'm using on LinkedIn, it was just something to get out there for guidance, for players, for parents, for coaches to help them out with this whole process. And it's taken off and it's taken off nationwide. So that's why, it's just a great opportunity for myself. But it's funny, like when you gave me my introduction, like for myself, I never talk about all my stats or awards or anything like that. So I was, it was kind of humble to hear that you would do that. But yeah, I mean that's the biggest thing for me. It's just about that care and giving back.
Yeah, I mean, look, I always feel that guys that, like yourself, that really care about helping the younger players
Hmm.
and helping younger coaches too, really don't care about what you did. It's not about what you did. It's about how can I help this next group.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, for me, like I don't go around with a Mets tattoo across my forehead saying, "Hey, like this is where I played." Like for me, I don't care. Like yes, that was a great accomplishment, but for me, it's now about everything that I've learned from playing in the big leagues to all the, grinding through the minor leagues, all the injuries that I've had, going overseas in Japan, Korea, the Dominican. So you learn so much from so many great individuals. Now it's like you put all that together. Now you just want to kind of give that back. But also, there's a lot of good guys out there too that don't have a ton of time. Like even with myself, I don't have a ton of time in the big leagues. But for me, I've been around the game my entire life because I'll get around some guys that will have 10 plus years in the big leagues and all they'll talk about is just stories. They'll bring up stories of this and that. It's like I don't care about the stories, like not at all, you know? And it's like that's all they want to do is go on rants on certain things. It's like, no, no, no. This is about like, okay, what can we do right now that's present that can have a great impact in these kids' futures?
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, look, I'm gonna go out on a limb here and I'm gonna say that
Hmm.
a lot of the way that you view this, could it be possibly because of your dad? Because, your dad comes from that college coach background. He, understands and he must have instilled that in you. Am I wrong?
Yeah, I mean, definitely my dad has a lot of credit for everything, but it's also just because of where I've played going up through the system with the Mets and playing overseas, but now coming back and being in the travel baseball world for the past 8 years, that you learn so much from a system standpoint, from a coaching standpoint. Like there's so much that I've learned just from giving individual lessons that even if I would go back into time, like, man, I wish I would have known this when I was playing, you know? So that's the biggest thing is like all the stuff that we see now it's like we just got to install that in that generation that's coming up.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel that
Hmm.
it starts with the rudiments, the
Yes.
basics of the game.
Hmm.
Are we taking these young players and starting from scratch, or
Hmm.
are we just throwing them out on the field and picking out the best kids that seem they have natural talent and working with them, and the other kids kicking them to the curb?
This is my question for you, Jimmy, is do you think it's good for a 10-year-old to be playing 100 baseball games a year? I'm gonna guess that answer is no. And that is what we're doing today. We're out there and it's just game after game after game after game. And these kids are playing, 5 to 6 games over the course of a weekend. And it's like you're playing 5 to 6 games in the course of a Saturday or a Sunday. How is that good for you?
Yeah,
What are you really learning from that? Oh, it's because all these places, it's money. It's always money, money, money. But it's not about the development. That's why I posted the other day. I was like, when you see the Dominican, you see Japan and Korea, like all these other places, they focus on the practice, practice, practice. But here, we focus on the games. But what are we really learning here? That's why these kids, by the time they're, 12 or 13 years old, they're done. They're gassed. They're like, God, over the past 3 years, we played 300 baseball games
yeah,
from 10, 11, and 12. What is the purpose of this?
yeah.
What have I learned? Absolutely nothing.
No, no, and my biggest gripe is at the high school level. I see it because, again, people tell me, oh, you got Joe Smith is coming into your program next year. This kid is a stud baseball player. He's going to help your program. And I'm like, okay, man, this is great. And you put him on the field. He doesn't know how to run the bases. He doesn't know how
Hmm.
to do rundowns. He doesn't know bunt. He doesn't even know how to bunt.
Yeah.
Bunting is non-existent. It's not even taught.
Hmm.
And again, that's why I've been on the crusade. I actually put something out on YouTube not that long ago. Well, maybe it was a year or so ago about how youth baseball has become a business model. It's not a development model anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, it's frustrating, but there's also, being a part of an academy, which we do have a ton of travel teams. Like there's good things that come out of it too, because there are really good coaches that are in it for the right reason. And you give a lot of kids some good opportunities to get out there and play. So yeah, I mean that's where I'm at. But if I could just go back real quick
Sure.
to like the importance of practice. Like I'm not just saying with baseball, I'm saying with like basketball too. Like right now, my son is 10 years old, and it's like, okay, did we want to go this fall and winter with him going and playing AAU, or do we want to actually have him train and, learn the fundamentals of the game? So we made the decision of this is what we're going to do. We sent him to a place, it's called Cal Sports Academy right in Satterton, and he's absolutely loving it. There's no games. It's just learning the fundamentals, the basics of the game. And he's in fourth grade, and there's kids there that are in five, six, seventh grade and he's learning from them. He's getting pushed. And like that's what it is. It's all about the development and the process. Now, there needs to be more of those across the country of just not in basketball, but with all sports. Focus on the little things. And then when they get out there during the game slows down for them and they don't panic.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I just started a program this past September where in a 2-month period, we practiced 30 times and we played 12 games.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So it was, practice, practice, practice. And to your point, I don't even think I would have played that many games if I didn't know that the parents wanted that they want those games. And again, it's working, starting with catch play. We spent so much time on catch play because, again, they're 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. They're young kids, and nobody ever taught them. So we're going to spend that time. I don't care if it takes me 6 months, it takes me a year to get them to make sure they center the ball, make sure they move their feet, and everything that goes along with it. But this is what we need to do.
If they don't know how to play catch, why are we going to just go from 0 to 100 and put them in a game? It doesn't make any sense. Why am I going to have somebody go up to bat when they don't even know how to properly hold the bat? But that's what we're doing. Everything is rush, rush, rush when there's no process behind it. But that's where I come into play, and I'm helping out as best as I can, because people reach out every single day. Hundreds of people reach out every single day. And, I do my best to talk to every single person, but, it's going good, and it's starting to have a positive impact here.
Yeah, I believe like what you're trying to do, what I'm trying to do, it's going to take a lot of effort on our part to turn things around so that people start to understand that this is what it's really about. I remember 800 years ago when I first started in Little League. First of all, we didn't start until we were 8 back then. It was 1970. And when you were 8 years old, you didn't play games. There were no games the whole season. All we did was train. We had one game at the very end of the season, and it was a quote-unquote all-star game. It was the best players out of all of those kids went on, and we played another church league, for one game, and that was it. And that's the way it used to be done. How it got so out of whack, I don't know.
The best thing that happened to me, to be honest with you, and I think this is the first time I've ever really said this, is like I was ahead of the game because at 10, 11, 12 years old, I was practicing with a college team. So that's where the biggest thing is, like where my dad being a college coach, he's been there 39 years, has over 1,000 wins. So for me to be 10, 11 years old and to be out there during practices and doing all the drills and everything, like how are you not going to get better? And that's where it is today. It's like even my younger boys, I coach a 10U team. Whenever they're around the older kids, I'm like, take advantage of it. Take advantage of it, because the kids that are older, I mean, they're the ones that are setting the tone for what good should actually look like. So if you're around them, they're going to learn from it.
Yeah. And I'm a big proponent also of that younger kids need to work with older kids, okay? Because number one, they see what they could be like as they get older. Number two, you give the older guys a chance to practice leadership with the younger guys. And it just gives them something to shoot for. So, and I told the parents this year, because I had 11-year-olds and I had 13-year-olds, and that's a big difference in 11 at that age group. And, they were like, oh, my son's only 11. How's he going to do? And I said, no, this is what we want. We want him to develop that hunger. We want him to, to develop that fight. So
I want you to go out there and I want you to fail.
Yes.
That is the biggest thing. Everything is not just handed to you of like, you're never going to make mistakes. I want you to go out there and I want you to fail. And I tell people this too. It's like my very first big league at bat with the Mets, we were playing against the Marlins at home, bases loaded. Who came up? I came up to pinch hit. And what did I do? I struck out with the bases loaded. That was my first at bat. Did I get back in the dugout and sulk and pout and do all this stuff? No, I was prepared going up there. I knew what to do. I got my pitch and I just missed it. So now it's like, okay, now if I tell people, listen, I failed on the biggest stage with all the lights are on TV and everything. I'm like, guys, it's okay. You try to tell the parents, it's okay that your son is going to strike out with the bases loaded here at 10 years old. It's not the end of the world,
Yeah. And again, it's something that I think that everybody should be aware of as coaches, youth coaches, okay? Expect it. Expect those mistakes. Do not beat a kid up because he made a mistake, because he struck out, because he made an error. Your job as a coach if that poor kid makes an error, is when he comes off the field, you go over, you put your arm around him and say, hey, bud, it's no big deal. Come on, let's go. You got to get ready for your at-bat. And
If you call somebody out during a game, if you call them out and center fielder makes a mishandles a play or whatever, and you call him out in front of everybody, that kid's done.
yeah,
I don't know what to tell you, but even if I'm that parent, I'm gonna be like, "Yo, coach, what are you doing here?" Like the biggest thing for a coach is like you got to coach, right? But then also you got to install the confidence.
yeah,
Because if they're not confident, they got no shot going up there.
yeah, yeah. There's no doubt about it. I mean, confidence is a big part of it. We had a kid this fall. I don't remember. He struck out, or I don't remember exactly. He rolled over on a ball and was out at first base, something like that. And he came into the dugout. And again, he's young. I think he was 12. He comes in the dugout and he's crying, right? And I'm not used to that, okay, because I'm used to coaching high school kids. I'm not used to that. So he's crying. So I went over, I put my arm around him. I said, "What are you crying, bud?" "Oh, coach, I did it." And I said, "Look at my face. Do I look like I care? Come on, let's go. It's no big deal. Come on, we'll get him next time." And it's that kind of, like you said, building of confidence that I don't think we see as much as we should.
Yeah, like with everything with the crying and the pouting, I think it all goes back to the coach that sets the standard. Because all of my guys, like I'll tell you one thing, like if they come in there and as soon as I see them start to pout a little bit, I'm like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, come on down here." Somebody strikes out and I see them getting a little teary-eyed. I'm like, "Okay, come on down here. I'm coaching third base. Come on down here. Let's have a quick conversation." Because as soon as you show that, the other kids on the team are going to be like, "Oh my God," like then they're kind of defeated too, or they're looking like, "What is going on?" So it doesn't matter. The baseball is a game of failure.
Yeah.
You're going to fail way more times than you succeed. So it's about how you're going to bounce back. So if one of my kids, if he strikes out, I'll tell you, I do not care if you're going to strike out. Put your helmet back, put your bat back, get up to the fence and cheer on the next guy that's coming up there, because you never know. That guy's job is to come up there and pick you up.
Yeah.
You pick you up. It's all about the team.
Yeah. Yeah. And, what's important too, again, like you said, if it's taken care of properly when they're young, then we don't have to deal with it at the high school level, the college level, whatever. And I can tell you a quick story. I had a kid, not this past season, the season before, high school baseball, a varsity high school baseball player. Things weren't going right on the mound. So I went out and I said, "Okay, bud," I said, "Look, don't worry about it. We'll pick you up." And I brought a guy in. The guy that I brought in to relieve him went to high five him, and he just didn't even look at him, walked right past him, went into the dugout, went in the corner of the dugout, curled up in a ball, and was pouting. So I said, "Okay, I got to make a statement here." So after the game was over, I called him over, sat him down. I said, "Okay, listen, tomorrow you're going to report to JV practice." I said, "Because what you just did today is you proved to me that you're not mature enough yet to handle varsity baseball." I said, "So let's go down there. Let's work this out." I said, "And then when things turn around, we'll bring you back." But my point is, I shouldn't have to deal with that at that level.
Exactly.
But it's because nobody nipped it in the bud when he was younger.
Yep. Like for me, like I never thought I would be coaching 9-year-olds and 10-year-olds. You always have this big picture of like, okay, you make it to the big leagues, I'm going to have all this money, I'm going to retire, I'm going to just ride off into the sunset. Like I didn't have like a backup plan or anything, but now getting back into it, like baseball is always my passion. And now I'm just blessed to give that back to the younger generation. But it's to the point where you look and you're like, what in the world is going on out there? Like for me, I always want to get my boys ready for what's next. That's the biggest thing. And I feel like that's where just an example of University of Virginia's baseball team, the way they had with Coach Kevin McMillan is those boys are trained to work hard, to pick each other up, to be good team players. That pro scouts, they know when they go to University of Virginia, they know what they're going to get.
Yeah.
So that is my job, is taking these kids all the way up through the system, is to prepare them with how they should be on the field, how should they be off the field, with how they're doing their homework, how should it should be to their parents, all those things. That is what a good coach does.
Yeah. Yeah. And, now, while we're talking about what good coaches do, so in the organization where you are now,
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys? How do you guys handle your coaches? What do you do with, your coaches? Do you give them any training? Do they have to do certain
Sure.
things?
Sure. All the coaches go through workshops.
Good.
We have workshops that we do with, how to help them with how to build the team correctly, how to run up a good practice, how we set up all their practice plans, how, we work with the communication, with the in-game management. All that stuff needs to be covered because when you look at it, like a parent is basically you handing the keys to like, hey, here's my son or daughter, right? So they want to be confident with that coach that's out there. And if they're not confident with it, there's so many different travel organizations out there now that as soon as they have one bad experience, it's off to another one, So if you give them a good experience and all of a sudden all those parents trust that coach, that's where you get the retention of all those kids coming back year after year after year.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, it's really interesting because, again, I'm going to keep going back to my program that I just started because a lot of it is pertinent. I talked to the parents when I got the kids, and you could see I had 14 boys, and you could see right off the bat that they weren't very talented. They weren't schooled. They had very little instruction how to actually play the game. And I would ask them, what did a practice look like where he was playing before? And they would tell me, and I shake my head, knowing that, what they were doing basically is putting them on the field, hitting them some ground balls, and letting them do on-field BP, and then they go home, and that's their practice. And when they saw what we were doing, because we were on a typical, I would say, hybrid between high school and even a college practice, they came over to me and they were like, "Coach, what the hell is this? We've never seen anything like this before." And I was like, and I'm not trying to pat myself on the back. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to say that if we take travel ball coaches, youth baseball coaches, and we train them, this is what a practice looks like. This is how you run it. This is how you They need to know that because it's not inherent.
Yeah, definitely. That's the biggest thing. If you talk about practice, like I will knock out the best practice you'll see. That's not being arrogant. It's just because for me, I take passion and pride in my practice. And all those kids are moving and grooving. They don't have time to have side conversations or anything like that. It's like when they're there, they are absolutely locked in. But when you go back to what you said, when the coach has, okay, we're going to go out there, we'll hit you, a couple ground balls, and then we'll go to on-field BP. They don't even do that in the big leagues. Like they'll like everything there. There's a process. People don't understand how much early work is put into that. Like even if the game is at 7:00, I can tell you one thing, by 12:30, I'm already at the field going through everything right there. Yeah. So as a coach, just say, this is what they do in the big leagues. That's what they do in the pros. That's what they do in college. Just hit you some ground balls and on-field BP. Yeah, you know who says that? The lazy coach. The one that just wants to sit on the bucket and hopes that all the best players come in and play for him so he can just sit on the bucket and not do anything.
Right. And that's, you just hit on something too. I mean, isn't it important for, again, I know every coach can't do this, but for those that really want to get to the top of their game, isn't it important for them to go and see maybe a good high school practice or maybe a good college practice? Go there.
That's the biggest thing that I try to preach on too, is because you don't know what good looks like until you go out and actually see it. So a lot of these places that they'll go, they'll be like, okay, like parents get so caught up into thinking this is what it is when they don't know what good actually is. They get so complacent of like, okay, I'm here because we're having a good time. These coaches know what they're doing. And then I go out and I look over the course of a weekend. I'm like, this is what you're paying for? Like, are you serious right now?
And big money.
Like, that's where I do. Yeah, big money. That's where I'm just like, you want to go over and just be like, please come to practice. Yeah. Just come to my practice. I'm not going to go over there and steal players from other teams like this. But if you come and watch my practice, everybody's going to want to join my team. I can guarantee that.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's no doubt about it because when they do see what's right, a light bulb goes off and they say, oh my God, we're actually working on, the rudiments of the game. We're working on picks at first base. We're working on double play feeds. We're working on, the correct routes in the outfield. When we do an outfield, on the field batting practice, in
Mm-hmm.
between swings, I have balls going around my outfield. So my outfielders are still working in between swings. They're not standing there.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing in the infield. I'll bring all four infielders in and have them do a double play feed drill.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, everybody back. Okay, next pitch, let's go. Like you said, keep everybody moving. It keeps it fun. The practices end over before you know it.
Every practice that I have, I try to add in something new from the game so they can just take something from it. Like, but even in my practices, I'll always work on double plays. And when you see a 10-year-old team out there turning a 5-4-3 double play with ease, you're like, what in the world? But you know what? It's because we practice it.
That's it.
You know,
Yeah.
little things like PFPs. When that pitcher at 9 years old, when that ball is hit on the right side and that pitcher goes over there and covers, you're like, wait a second, how do you know that? But then from a coach's standpoint, you're like, oh my God, like it's awesome because
Yeah.
you know what you're teaching at practice is clicking.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, yeah. I told the story on the last show, and I'm going to tell you. I don't care if
Mm-hmm.
people already heard it. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
the last game with this group, there was a situation. Runner on third, ball got hit back to the pitcher. The kid from third broke. Pitcher threw the ball to the catcher. He ran back one throw to the third baseman. Third baseman took off in a sprint, tagged him. Done.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Zach, I had a smile all the way to my ears because I said, "Look at this. They learned."
Mm-hmm.
You know,
That's it.
and
I know. I got a good example too. So at 10, when you're talking about somebody laying down a bunt, right? Somebody laying down a bunt, and I got a left-handed pitcher on the mound, and we work on this PFPs all the time in practice.
Yeah.
Every time my left-handed pitcher would go over to pick up the ball, he would turn in the opposite direction of what I want him to. But then we just work on it. And then our very last tournament, it happened where the ball came, and I was like, oh my God, he got it. He turned the right way. And it's like I jumped out of the dugout and I was like, let's go, dude, you know? But then the parents see it too. They're like, oh my God, like they're buying into everything because they trust the process that I'm putting into play.
yeah, yeah. I mean, that's all of these stories. Again, when you do it the right way, everything will fall into place. It takes time, and we talk about it all the time. Where we say trust the process. There is a process. You're not going to get instant results. So, but again, like you said, you notice it
Yeah.
in small bites.
Mm-hmm.
So,
The biggest thing for myself too is like, I don't know everything. I don't know everything there is about coaching. I don't know everything there is about youth sports and youth baseball, but that's why I'm here, because I'm trying to learn something new every single day. And I'm trying to ask questions. That's the biggest thing you can do as a coach, is just ask questions.
yeah,
Try to learn something new every single day. That's why I got on LinkedIn, because I want to, meet so many other people, not just in the youth baseball, but other sports as well. So we can all come together and we can all figure out like, hey, what can we do a little bit better day after day?
yeah, yeah. And but again, Zach, you see, I think that like what you just described, okay, is what I don't want to say higher level coaches, but I want to say good coaches. Okay, what good coaches know, that we don't know everything. We have to study, we have to learn, we have to listen more than we talk.
Yep.
And the problem is getting other coaches to understand that that's what a good coach does. Because, let's face it, and I've said this again before, in my area, in the local travel ball league, there's just under 700 teams in that league. So you're talking about, at the very minimum, it's got to be 1,400 coaches.
Yeah.
My opinion is that at 1,400, maybe 10% get it.
I agree. That's the biggest battle.
Yeah.
But that is where, like, you just got to tell them, listen, just put your ego to the side. Listen, I get it. You might have played here. You might have played there. It doesn't matter. The whole part about this process is you're learning. You never stop learning until you're dead.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. Like, I don't know everything, but I'm doing my best to ask questions from, players that have played before me, from coaches that have played way before me,
Yeah.
because I just want to learn, learn, learn. So now those are the people that I trust, so I can gather all that information, so I can relay that back down to the next generation.
Yeah. I'm actually tomorrow. I got a 6 a.m. flight. Oh, God, I
Mm-hmm.
must be out of my mind to University of Texas with the ABCA,
Mm-hmm.
where we're there for our youth baseball summit. And the object of the summit is to brainstorm and try and come up with solutions how to make youth baseball better.
Yeah.
Okay. And again, after, I've been coaching forever.
Mm-hmm.
I started coaching probably before you were born, back in 1983 is when
Yep.
I started coaching. I still feel like I've only scratched the surface.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Always trying to learn from other people. And let me tell you something, these guys that go to the Issues Baseball Summit are incredible baseball minds. And
Mm-hmm.
you gotta listen to what they say and learn from them.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Whatever happened with the whole just, hey, take a notebook and get a pen and just jot down notes.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
I have these notebooks all the time. It's like, I listen to a podcast, or, whatever. I meet somebody new, or just whatever. It's like, oh, I'm going to jot down everything, because there might be something that is going to benefit me from this right here, but not just benefit me, benefit the other people that I'm going to relay it to.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, let's face it. Nowadays, we got this. Okay? You're talking to somebody, you want to know something. Zach said da 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 da
Hmm.
da da da. Boom, it's in my notes.
Yep.
Done. You don't even have to.
Hmm.
I can go on and on about
Well,
this stuff.
it's crazy. You can just talk to your phone and say, "Hey, I need a 12-week workout program to help me put on 20 pounds of muscle. Can you put everything in?" Within 10 seconds, the whole thing is right there for you. It's like back in high school, I was doing everything in order to find some type of workout. I think it was like Boston College linebacker workout, because I needed to put on mass. And I'm like, that's what I found. Now, all you guys say is just talking to your phone. Here's the whole program.
I know
Wild.
it's
Hmm.
incredible. It really, really is. But
Yeah.
let's move in a little bit different direction. So, again, I've gone through a lot of your posting, and you've spoken about accountability in youth sports and the role of parents.
Hmm.
Okay, why don't we dive into that a little bit? Because I know parents are obviously a big part of what goes on.
Hmm. The parents, you just want to tell them to just take a deep breath and relax, right? But also, what it kind of stems back to is what I said of trusting the coach. And if the parents don't trust the coach, that is why they yell and they scream over the course of the game. The coach has to be the one that sets the standard, bring all the parents in before the season and say, okay, this is what I expect from you, A, B, and C. This is what you're going to get in return from me, which is A, B, and C. And this is what I expect out of your son or daughter too, which is A, B, and C. That's the biggest thing that I see is the parents are searching for answers, but the coaches are the ones that it goes back to is like they need to put their egos to the side and actually learn from people that are there trying to help them, because all of a sudden if they give those kids a good experience, you're not going to have any issues with the parents.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I mean, I've also found out that just as long as the parents are confident in your ability, they,
Hmm.
like you just said, they trust you, they believe in you, just like we have to do with our players. Then they're
Yep.
not going to question you, and if they do, it's a lot easier to set them straight.
Yep.
Because they're listening to you. Because they say, you know what, this guy does know what he's talking about. Let me listen to what he's saying. And
And yeah, I was just gonna say, like for me with my 10U team, I reach out to the parents all the time saying, "Hey, you know what? How's Johnny doing in school right now?" Just little things. It's not always about, "Hey, like this is what I wanted to." It's no, like because you care. And then all of a sudden, when that parent is like, "Man, he really cares about my kid right here," they'll do anything for you,
yeah,
because it's that trust.
yeah, yeah. I mean, give a young kid a hug after something goes wrong, and let his parents see you do that. And
Hmm.
and like you said, they know you care. They know
It's
you're
game over.
feeling it, and it's
Yeah.
game over.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, as far as the accountability part, I believe in. I'd like to hear your opinion on this. I believe that you have to hold the parents accountable also for their actions.
Yeah, because that's the toughest part. It's like when you see parent and you're in the dugout and all of a sudden you see the parent kind of drifting down. He's getting a little bit closer to the dugout, and he's trying to say something. The old Johnny that's sitting in there, it's like, yo, like, let's just pump the brakes. But I'm telling you, everybody's searching for those answers, but it always goes back to the coach. If they trust the coach, and the coach set the standard before the season and during the season, and is in constant communication with those parents, you're not going to have any of that, because then that parent's going to know, like, listen, like, they're going to go to other tournaments, and they're going to see how parents from other teams act, and they're like, man, like, we don't act like that. And I'm like, yeah, you know why? That's because I set the standard of what good actually looks like.
Yeah, it's so important. You know,
Mm-hmm.
we had a parent, and I don't remember what it was. He happened to be right behind me. I was standing outside the dugout, and he yelled something out to the field, you know, to his son. And I turned around, and all I did was just turn around, and I went, "Hey," like that. He goes, "I'm sorry, coach." He goes, "It won't happen
Mm-hmm.
again." And you know, he walked away. And again,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have to get nasty. I kind of did it in like a joking way, but he knew I was serious. Don't do that,
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
I explained to them, the only thing you do when you coach from the stands is you confuse the crap out of the kid, because you don't know what I told him.
Mm-hmm. The best part about it is I didn't know all this. I didn't know all this, but I had good mentors. I had good mentors within where I work right now, All Star Sports Academy. Ones that have, coached before me, that I went out and I was the assistant coach for, that I could see, okay, how is it? Oh man, like this works right here. Like this practice plan right here, like this works. Oh, how you communicate with parents after the course of a weekend, this works. Okay, so now I'm going to put all that together right here, and I'm going to, map it out how I'm going to do it, and then have success with it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you're lucky. You had the mentors. I can say that my mentors are guys like you. My
Mm-hmm.
mentors are, Jeremy Sheetinger, Butch Chaffin, Trent Mongero. Believe it or not, over the years, from following them and listening to what they say, I've taken a couple classes with Sheets, but those guys have become my mentors. I've always been a head coach, believe it or not.
Mm-hmm.
And some people say, well, you're saying that because you're trying to portray that you're a good baseball coach. No, it just happened that way. And I'll tell any baseball coach out there, that is not the easiest road to take. It's the hardest
Mm-hmm.
road to take, because you don't
I
have
agree.
anybody teaching you.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. A
So,
lot of stuff it's almost like you just try to learn it on the fly, and you're like, oh man, like you need that mentor there with you.
yeah, yeah. And,
Mm-hmm.
most coaches need to know to study, the we'll call it the intangibles. Forget the X's and O's, because the X's and O's of the
Mm-hmm.
game, you could pick up a book and see how to do that. you
I
know
agree.
but how do you coach? How do you treat your players? How do you get along with other coaches, with umpires, stuff like that? That's stuff that you need to know.
I've had a lot of good coaches. I've had a lot of bad coaches throughout my career. So you kind of go back and like I write everything down, and I look at it. I'm like, okay, this coach right here, he did A, B, and C really good. This coach over here, A, B, and C really bad. Now I know with me going forward, now when I'm coaching my son's team, I know what I should be doing and what I shouldn't be doing.
Yeah, yeah, so important.
Hmm.
Okay, so let's stay on this, because again, I've heard you talk about the ecosystem, or I've read you talk about it.
Hmm.
The ecosystem of players, parents, and coaches. How do you create that alignment? And I mean, do you have meetings? How do you do it?
As far as with my LinkedIn, it's just a platform that I use. If people reach out to me, I'll get back to them as soon as possible, and I'll say, listen, just give me a call. Just give me a call, and I'll help them out with the whole process of everything. Like, I've had coaches, I've done a couple webinars with some teams too, of like, listen, like, guys, this is how you're supposed to go about your business, both on the field and off the field, because baseball, it teaches you so many life lessons,
Yeah,
you know? So now, in order to use that in my platform and to give that back, that's the most success that I'm having from it. I don't get on there and sell anything.
right.
Why, I just do it out of the kindness of my heart, of like, listen, this is where I've been, this is what I've been through, and this is how I think, youth baseball should be.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, like, in your organization,
Hmm.
how do you create that? How do I put it? It's almost like, how do you create that team? It's got to be a team between coaches, parents, and players. How do you do that?
It's just meetings, you know? you have the meetings and you have, certain workshops for the coaches. It's just how we go about it, with our preseason meetings, with our midseason meetings, with our postseason meetings, of kind of giving a recap of everything. Because the biggest thing is communication.
Sure.
If there's no communication that's involved, then I don't know, you're going to be starting from ground zero next season because everybody's going to leave.
Yeah. Yeah. And the communication part, like, I mean, I'm going by like what I do, but I kind of want to know what you do. Is, I mean, I set up like we use Sports U, and I set up a group chat,
Hmm.
and I'm with the younger guys. I'm communicating with the parents constantly. Okay, I'll even come up with, clips and motivational quotes, and I'll send it to the parents, and I'll say, do me a favor, share this with the boys.
Hmm.
With my high school players, I try to do it with the players, and that's a whole different other problem. Believe it or not,
Yeah.
I think it's easier to go to the parents to share than it is to go to the high school players because they scroll right past it.
I think the biggest thing too is, for me, I don't like any group text
Okay, why?
or anything like that, because as a parent, I don't want to be getting blown up when I'm at work all the time. Of like, hey, like I'm getting this now, I'm getting this. I'm like, oh my God, like they have their everyday jobs too. So if there's something that I see, because each kid on my team is different. So maybe I'll see something and I'll be like, oh wow, this one really resonates with Jimmy right here. So I can send that to this parent. If it's something that's just going to go out in a group text and be like, okay, well, I don't know. But if there's something that I see that can be for a certain individual, then I'll be like, you know what? This right here. If it's just a quote, if it's something that I see of a certain drill that I like, I can send it to them right here.
Yeah, I like that. Actually, you just opened my eyes a little bit. Yeah,
That's
because
the biggest thing that I hear. Because the parents are like, listen, some of these parents, they're doctors, they're lawyers, they're attorneys, they're whatever, they're school teachers. The last thing they want is their phone or their Apple Watch to be blown up over the course of a day. So I kind of know my boundaries. I know who to reach out to when. And yeah, that's how I go about it.
that's fantastic. Because again, now I'm wondering how many times I blew up somebody's phone.
Yeah, parents are saying, oh, there's Jimmy again. Oh, here we go again.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, or you do. I mean, this was brought to me this past fall where people ask like ridiculous questions. Like,
Yes.
I'll send out, okay, guys, practice today. Whatever, I had to move it from 7 o'clock to 6:30. Okay, whatever, and I'll send
Hmm.
it out. And then you get the parent. Well, are we still at the same field?
Yes.
That type of thing, and people are like, yes, we're at the same field.
Yes. For the 100th time, we're at the same field. Uh-huh.
So,
Yep.
so you help me out with that. So, routines and consistent habits. Routines and habits for the boys. What key routines make the biggest impact, do you think, on your players?
All my players, so I think it's just how I set the standard with their practice. They know when they show up for practice. Like my practice is from 6 to 7:30 on a Tuesday night. They know most of my team, they're there at 5:30.
Yeah.
They're there at 5:30 and they're ready to go because as soon as 6 o'clock starts, we're going to get after it. And as soon as they take the field, they know exactly where to line up their gloves. They know they're doing 2 laps around the field, followed by a little active warm up, followed by our agility work, followed by our hand eye drills that we do. And then we get right into our throwing program. Like I just have everything just boom, 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 quick because they know exactly how it is. So now all of a sudden, when we go to a weekend and we're at a tournament in, say, New Jersey, they know if the game is at 1 o'clock, we are showing up at 12. And when we show up at 12, we know what we're going to be doing all the way leading up till that first pitch starts.
Fantastic. Yeah, I mean, there has to be that discipline.
Hmm.
Has to be. Otherwise,
Yep.
and I've told parents and players many, many, many times, if I can't count on you, I use the if you're not 15 minutes early, you're late. Okay,
Hmm.
so I tell them if I can't count on you to get to the field at the right time, how can I count on you when I need a base hit, or
Yep.
we need to move a runner, or whatever the case is.
Hmm.
It's part of your discipline. It's part of your training.
It's just asking questions. You ask questions to these parents all the time. Hey, how's Johnny doing right now? Like
Yeah.
how's school? Is he struggling? But then all of a sudden, like you keep asking questions, you kind of dig a little bit deeper, and then you're like, man, now I know why at practice, he kind of is the way he is right now. So then you just pull him to the side and you say, listen, man, like, hey, kind of heard about what's going on, just here, everything right here stays right here. So, just be confident. I'll help you out through it. So then all of a sudden they trust me, and then they get back out in the field and they know how to go about their business.
Yes, that's fantastic. So let's move on to my next, because this is my biggest part
I got another thing too, but off
Sure.
of like
Go ahead.
the routine,
Go ahead.
just to add in, because for me, with the communication with the parents, whenever it comes time for something with, whether it's playing time or where the kid's hitting in the lineup or why he's playing this position and not that position, I don't want, even though they're 10, I do not want the parent to come up to me and say, listen, like, hey, why is he playing here? Why is he batting here? I want the kid to come up to me and have that conversation, because that's how it is. That's how it's going to be down the road.
Yeah.
This isn't like, hey, mommy, like, go over there and talk to the coach and say, why am I batting ninth and not batting third? It's like, no, come over to me and I will give you what you need to do in order to move up to that spot, in order to, hey, if I feel confident with you out there on that field right now, or if I don't feel confident with you out, this is what I need you to be working on away from the field.
Love it. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
If and again, with the older guys, the younger guys are a little different, but with the older guys, if a parent approaches me, the 1st thing I'll say to the parent is, where is he?
Yeah.
And they'll say, well, he's over there. Get him over here.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll talk about it. And I can give you a story. One time a parent came up to me about his son's playing time, and his son wasn't hitting. So, I said, I looked at him and I said, we've been working on such and such a drill, to try and correct, what's going on with your hitting. Have you been doing it? The dad looks at me and he goes, he hits every night. He's hitting every. I said, wait a minute. I said, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to him. I said, are you doing the drills, or are you just hitting for the sake of hitting? So he goes, I'm just hitting for the sake of hitting. So I said, okay. And I looked at his dad and I said, both of you, listen to me. Until you start doing those drills and I start seeing, and believe me, I'm going to see the change. When I start to see the change, then he's going to go back in the lineup. I said, but if you don't want to do the work, I'm not going to reward you for not doing it.
Exactly.
Right in front.
Everything we do is with a purpose.
Yeah. Yeah. Right in front of the parent. And this way it is. That ends that conversation right off the bat.
I love it, because then all of a sudden you talk to that parent and you say, okay, you know what, bring Johnny over here. Do you sure you still want to have this conversation right now? Because the kid might be, Dad, Mom, what are you talking about right now? Then all of a sudden they're embarrassed. And it's like, hey, parent, this is what I'm talking about, of things that you should be doing and what you shouldn't be doing. Right.
Yeah. 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 And I've actually said to the kid in front of the parent, don't lie to me, because I know what the answer is. I already know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
I think I guess that goes back to being transparent. The more transparent we can be and bring everything out in the open. Hey, this is why he's not. And I always say, I will not put you on the bench because I don't like what color shoes you're wearing. You're not there for that. You're there because there's a reason.
Mm-hmm. If I give you these certain drills to do, these certain exercises to do over the next 5 days before our next tournament, I guarantee you, if you do these, like, you're going to be in a much better spot. But I know when I watched you hit BP that morning, that if you have or haven't done it.
Yeah. Sure you do. I mean,
accountability goes back to it.
That's really what it is. I mean, even when I was given lessons, I used to pull the parent in a cage, and I used to say right in front of the parent, I tell the players, okay, listen, we went over such and such today. I need you to go home, and I need a bucket of balls every night doing this. Okay. Yeah. And I'll say right in front of Mom and Dad, you can help me out here a little bit. Make sure he does it. I said, but you have to work on what we did. And I said, if you're not going to do it, and I look at Mom and Dad and I say, don't bring him back here. If you're not going to do it, don't bring, because you just wasted Mom and Dad's money. It's crazy.
100%. Yep.
And that's it. So I can go on about stuff like that forever.
Well, and the parents would be like, oh, I don't have time. Well, you know what? You better make time, because that's your son or daughter that's out there. And you want to keep seeing them fail out there or not being up to your standard that you want them to be. Well, this is what I need from you too. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I love that too, what you just said about, I don't have time. You have whatever it is, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 to pay for his travel baseball. You have all of this money to pay for his lessons. You don't have 5 minutes to make sure he goes and he hits 50 balls.
Yeah. Like I don't know what you think. If you're going to come in for me for an hour a week for a lesson, and then you think that's going to be the magic potion, right? I can give you a lot of answers, but you have to do this stuff on your own.
Yeah.
1 hour a week? Are you crazy? Like the amount of time and effort that I used to put into my training. Oh my God. Like waking up at 4 a.m. in high school to get workouts in before, before heading over to school. Like little things. Like every time there was a time that I had something available for, like I would make the most of it because I knew that was going to help me out long term.
Yeah. Yeah, you and every other pro baseball player that I've talked to. Okay,
Hmm.
and they all say the same thing, and there's no secret. You are not going to become a professional baseball player, like you said, if you practice an hour a week. That's
Hmm.
ridiculous.
Yeah. And for me, like I'm a huge competitor and like I hate losing, right? Absolutely hate losing. So for me, I was always like, man, I see these guys in the Dominican Republic and I see how much they train and what they do. So it's like coming up, I knew how hard other people were working that I needed to do even more.
Yeah,
And that's what I did.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's again, like you said, there's no magic potion. You got to go
Hmm.
out and do the work. Period. The end.
Yep. Hmm.
All right, so let's jump into a little bit about the mental side of the game. Okay, what are you doing to help your players with that?
Mental side of the game.
Yeah.
I do a lot of, I would say, visualization. I
Okay.
think that was the biggest thing for me is like you can always kind of replay certain scenarios in your head, Like I don't know because baseball, like I said before to you, is it's a game of failure. So in order to train yourself mentally of like, listen, like there's gonna be days where you go 0 for 4. There's gonna be days where you go 4 for 4. But like you always gotta be that same person as soon as you step over those white lines. I don't want to be that coach that season. Like, okay, we won the game, but you went 0 for 4 and you're pouting in the dugout. I don't got time for that, you know? So
Yeah.
from a mental standpoint, like this is the type of game that can defeat you really quick.
Yeah.
But if you have mentors, if you have good coaches, if you have parents that are there to back you up and pick you up when things aren't going your way, it's going to make it that much easier for you.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no doubt. And I mean, we work with them on, their breathing techniques. We do
Yes.
visualization. We meditate before we do anything in practice. Like you said, they come in, they line up their gloves, they take 2 laps around the field, and then the first thing they
Hmm.
do is they all spread out and they get on their back and they close their eyes.
Hmm.
With the older guys, I'll do it guided. With the younger guys, I won't. I'll just tell them, just clear your head. Think about, chasing your dog around the house or something, just to get your
Hmm.
head clear before we start getting into this. But I do a lot of mental stuff with the boys because I believe that the game is all things being equal. Okay, so you take, somebody of your ability and somebody who did exactly what you did and made it to the major leagues. Okay,
Hmm.
you guys have roughly the same ability. What's going to separate you? Okay, it's going to be that mental side.
Yep.
So,
The big one that I used to watch a lot growing up was Evan Longoria. And Evan Longoria, he went through a guy, Ken Revisa. And Ken Revisa is well known across, I think everybody knows who Ken Revisa is. But the way he went about his business with the breathing techniques, if you're up to the plate and you get a pitch that you could hit, but you foul it off and you're like, oh man, instead of kind of having that in your head, step out. There's always going to be a left field foul pole. Look at the left field foul pole. All right, take a deep breath in and out, flush it, get back in the box, refocus, and get it going.
yeah, beautiful. Um,
Hmm.
and you mentioned Ken Revisa, and I end this show. The very last thing I say on the show is people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And
Exactly.
that's Ken's quote. And
Hmm.
I don't think that there's anything true when it comes to coaching at any level. You have to let them know that you care before you let them know what you know.
Hmm. I agree.
So, already, I got to tell you something. I do a lot of shows, okay, and I don't think any of them have gone as fast as this one did. I'm looking at the clock. I'm like, what? We, oh God. So one of the things that I wanted to hammer home, I want people to know out there, is that you went from playing Division III college baseball to the big leagues.
Hmm.
Okay. that is not something that happens very often. I mean, there's probably maybe a handful of guys that have ever done that. Okay,
Yeah.
it's amazing. Okay, so to me, that means that you know, like, what true development is. Okay, so tell us, wrap it all up for us, and tell us, what does true development look like?
Well, I think the biggest thing too is like coming out of high school, I had a lot of interest from Division I programs. There was, the University of South Carolina was the top program of Ray Tanner, and they had a lot of interest on me. But for me, I just wanted to go and play for my dad. But I knew how much time and effort I needed to do in order to get to where I wanted to go. So even graduating from high school, I mean, I ran like a 7.560. Like I threw 90 miles an hour, but like I weighed 175 pounds. So I knew going into my freshman year, even though it was Division III, and a lot of people put Division III down, but there are some dudes that go to Division III, right? So I knew that I needed to put on size. I needed to get faster, quicker, stronger, all those good things. So at the start of my freshman year at college, I got up to 225 pounds, basically put on 50 pounds of muscle, and I got down to running a 6.860. So I knew that's something that isn't a magic potion. I knew how much time and effort getting up at 5 a.m. and running hills and doing all the extra stuff in between classes, running stairs, little things after games, going down and jump roping at night. Like, and then as far as the nutrition standpoint of it, the mental standpoint of it, always training yourself, because for me, I wanted to be great. And in order to be great, and then for my team, I knew that other people were going to see that, and then they feed off of it. And that was my freshman year was the best year that Albernia has ever had. We were 41-6, right? And that's just unheard of for a college baseball program.
Yeah.
But that's because like I don't know, I took it upon myself that I wanted to just not just make myself great, but the others around me.
Yeah. 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 And I mean, that development comes from what we were just talking about is, working hard. Your process to get.
Other people are out at parties. And I'm down in the gym with a lacrosse ball and my baseball glove, throwing that ball as hard as I can against the wall and working on that ball coming to me as fast as it possibly can. Because I know that when I get out to third base is the hot corner. So I know that if I can train at a higher level, that I know that as soon as that game starts, everything is going to slow down for me.
Yeah. 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 And I mean, I'll use hitting as an example. Okay. So, and I've seen it many times. Teams will go into cages and they'll do the hitting practice and they're barreling up 10 out of 10 balls.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's not realistic. So to your point, what you were just saying, you have to make it harder because it's got to be harder than the game is. So when we set up our indoor batting practice, I crank the machine up so guys are barreling up maybe 3 out of maybe 4 balls.
Yep.
Because again, like what you just said.
Same thing with my 10U. When I throw batting practice to them, like I throw hard. I'll throw as hard as I do to my older boys, like 16, 17, 18. I'll throw the same speed because I know that as soon as they get in the game and somebody is throwing hard, like they're not going to be scared of it.
Yeah.
And that's what you see with a lot of younger kids is their first movement is they want to step out of the box when they go to swing because they're scared of getting hit. But if I can get there and I can train them at a higher level and all of a sudden they step in that box and they're confident, because, with our team is good. So we know we're always going to get a good pitcher. But that's what we feed off of. We feed off the good pitching because I challenge them and make them better in practice.
Yeah, and that's how you develop players. If you're what's the old saying? You want to prepare them for the rocky road ahead. You don't want to pave it for them.
Exactly. Yep.
So, well, look, like I said, I can't believe how fast the time flew. So I can't thank you enough for coming on. I don't think that we even scratched the surface. So
no, not at all.
I mean, I want to open the door to have you back sometime.
100%.
Great.
Always welcome. Yep.
All righty, Zach. Thanks again. I really appreciate you taking the time in the middle of the day. So
you got it.
Thanks again.
Thanks, Jimmy. Appreciate you.
Bye now. If you ever get a chance, go on LinkedIn. Look up Zach Lutz. He has a ton of posts there that talks about I don't want to say everything in youth sports, but there's a lot of good stuff that he puts out there. He had over 10 years in pro baseball. He's still coaching kids every week. He gets it, and he knows what's important. He knows that we have to develop a good culture. That's number one. And I mean, I know we didn't talk about it specifically in the show, but you can actually read between the lines. And basically everything we talked about was the culture. You know, he also talks about leadership. He talks about parent involvement with youth sports. There's just so much stuff that we got in there. And again, like I said, Zach is one of those guys who gets it. And that's what drew me to him is I saw his posts and I said to myself, this guy is spot on and we need to bring him on so that he could share his vision and everything that he believes with everybody out there. He also talks about, you know, the business side of baseball and how baseball has become a money-making proposition where we need to put more emphasis on training players and what's really right. I mean, you know, we talk about it all the time and we say that it's not about all of the games and all of the tournaments and all of this. Yeah, that's fine. I mean, it's a lot of fun. I get it. I see why it's appealing to everybody. But is that really building baseball players? One of the things that really sticks out to me in this whole, you know, youth baseball world is I'm not sure if everybody understands that the players that have a lot of talent, and I don't want to say they're getting hurt the most, but they're getting hurt quite a bit by what goes on. And again, it's not by everybody because, you know, Zach belongs to the All-Star Sports Academy where I know that they're doing it right. So, you know, he does it. There's other guys that we've had on the show, and there's tons of guys out there with travel programs and organizations that do understand this. But the players that have talent and are just being corralled onto a team so that these naturally talented players will go out and they'll beat every other team that doesn't necessarily have talented players. Well, what winds up happening is those talented players, in my opinion, are being hurt because they could be better, but they're not learning the basics of the game. They're not learning the rudiments. You know, we talked with Mike Landis about how we can improve baseball IQ. You know, you heard Zach talk about how we need to practice more and focus on practice so that young players learn how to play the game better. But getting back to the players that have talent, you know, the object is always to get them to the next level. So if they've been playing organized baseball since they were 5, and by the time they get to high school at, let's say, 14, that's 9 years of baseball that I believe, not in all cases, but some cases, is where the problem is. And it's hurting those players because, again, like we say all the time, the high school coach doesn't really have a lot of time to work on everything that needs to be worked on. We can do some of it, but we can't do all of it. So those players that maybe play, like I said, from 5 to 14 to get to high school, they need to learn how to play the game. And a high school coach doesn't really have a lot of time to teach them. So once they move on to college, now the college coach also has to teach them the stuff that they didn't learn in high school, that they didn't learn prior to high school. And I mean, I'm rambling on, but you could see how if we start them when they're young and we start training them the right way when they're 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, all of those years, and we start training them, we have all of those years to give them the information that they need to be good at the rudiments of the game, which will develop baseball IQ, which will give them confidence. Well, by the time they get to college, they should be polished players by then. You know, don't get me wrong, the college coach may have to teach them how they do this or how they do that because everybody's going to do things a little bit different. But from what I hear from college coaches, they're having to teach players the most basic of basic fundamentals. And it's not right. It just shouldn't be. So go out, follow Zach, read his stuff. I promise you it's good stuff. And I just want to give Zach a big thank you for coming on the show. So, if you enjoyed today's show, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Visit the website at thectbshow.net. Listen to your favorite episodes and please leave us a review. You can also reach out to the show on social media, X, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and get this, the old man has finally got us on TikTok. Keeps me young. And if you have any questions or topics you'd like me to cover, please drop us an email at clearingthebases@gmail.com. Your feedback helps us bring you the best content and reach more people in the baseball community just like you. And also, let me know if you'd like to be a guest. Until then, coaches and players, keep practicing, stay positive, and remember, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Thanks, everyone, and I'll see you on the next one.